Howdy, it's Mart with Max Q and another weekly update on the J-3 Cub Restoration project. I want to go back to that picture though there at the start, and I took that picture up at Oshkosh 10 years ago or so, and there was just such an amazing glow coming off of the wings of the Cubs in the evening, and they were in the camping area there as well. So it's just a gorgeous picture, and it's pretty hard to beat the beauty of a Cub, and especially up at Oshkosh, which, hey, we're less than a month away now. So really looking forward to spending the week up at Oshkosh, and hopefully we'll see some of you folks up there. I think if you haven't been to Oshkosh, if you don't even know about Oshkosh, you need to know about it. It's the world's greatest aviation event, and I've been to most of them since 1970, which was the first year that it was actually in Oshkosh. So it's that big a deal. It's amazing. It's the best place on earth by my estimation. So anyway, I got these, both of these wings now are prepped basically for fabric. I need to do an inspection to go back over everything that I've done before I'm going to be comfortable with actually closing them up with fabric. But and before I do that, I've actually got over in the spray booth, which you can't hardly see because the light's not on. The fuselage is in there. There's still that fuselage repair to do, which is I'm going to get onto that tomorrow. So we'll be updating that next week. But I thought I would show a little bit more of a kind of a recap of the things that we did, or that I did, on these wings. Which, of course, after taking the fabric off, that's when I could see that a lot of the steel structure was had surface rust for sure. Some of it had some real rust. Most of it just a light surface rust, but enough to where you wouldn't want to just cover it back up. So, for example, all of these compression tubes, which, to reiterate here, these tubes are thin wall steel, but the flanges down here, they're aluminum. And so I pulled all of them out, and to do that, you also have to take out the diagonal wires here, the drag and anti-drag wires. There's 4 bays of those. So you loosen those and take them out, and then removed all the hardware. Well, I guess I should say the leading edges came off first. In fact, there were bees' nests and all kinds of goodies up in the leading edges. And there was nothing wrong with the leading edges other than they were soft aluminum like Piper used back in the day, and they were beat up pretty bad, so they didn't look nice. So, of course, having the new leading edges really helps improve the look. So anyway, all the compression struts, especially here at the strut attach fitting, which is the more complicated compression strut, and the pulley bracket and the pulley and the strut attach fittings. In fact, these are brand new, whereas all the other components here are original. They've just been cleaned up, and of course this hardware has been replaced. Part of the reason for replacing the hardware, there was very little of the hardware was what you'd call unusable, but as it turns out, this airplane had a lot. In fact, I've got a container here full of the original Cub bolts, like this picture shows, where they had Piper Cub embossed on the head, which is just really amazing. And it's really cool because I'd heard about these, but I had never actually seen them. So it was pretty cool that these 2 wings here were almost completely full of that hardware. And so as a sort of a memory thing, those things have been pulled out, and so new hardware has been placed back in the wing in that area so that these cool bolts can be held on as a memory. But anyway, so that was kind of a cool thing. Now I did put, I've got a couple of pieces of hardware, like up here, the silver head bolt there is one of the Piper Cub ones, because when you pull the wing root fairing off, like at an annual inspection, you'll actually be able to see that, the head of that bolt. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to actually see one of the old original hardwares. There's also one here that's holding on. Part of the reason is this one is extra long, that's holding on the pulley bracket there. And so it was easier to go ahead and just use that one rather than ordering just a couple of ones that were extra long. But especially as there'll be an inspection plate. I think, you know, I don't exactly know where the inspection plates are going to be, but that one might be visible too on an annual inspection, which is just kind of cool. So anyway, also this rear attach strut fitting was replaced on both wings. So other than that, all the other items have been, meaning the steel things, the things that are painted yellow, they've been blasted, primed, and painted. The wingtip bows, of course, have been replaced. The one was broken with a patch that was kind of jakey, and the other one just had really strong flat spots between the attach points there, which happens over long periods of time, of course. And then I did make the new leading edge panels for both wings, using, as the other videos, oh, actually I wanted to go back because I was going to mention that if you want to see a little bit more about these Piper Cub bolts, video number 3 that I did had some more specific information about that. So you could go back, because we're up to 13 here on videos, and there's been one every week. So there's a lot of information. Some of it is even interesting if you go back and watch them either in order, or maybe find one that has something that specifically you might be interested in. Of course, I've spent quite a bit of time on these wings because they actually needed more work than had originally hoped. Thought maybe I could pull the fabric off, do a little cleaning, fix a few things, and put the fabric back on. But no, there was a lot more to do. But now they're really quite nice. Also, one of the things I did here just the other day was I put the inter-rib lacing in, which is a cotton webbing that basically it's there just to keep the ribs in place. So it kind of locks them in. The ribs are remarkably flexible, and when you shrink the fabric, it's not uncommon for the fabric to sort of grip, and it can put pressure and actually cause quite a curvature in the ribs. And you can straighten that out with taking a rib lacing needle and prying but it's work, and if you didn't have to do that, it'd be nicer. So that's what this particular does. It's just a simple wrap around each one, diagonally back and forth, runs the whole length, and in theory it keeps the ribs in place. And in fact, you can wrap on them a little bit. If they're not straight when you put this in, you just give them some taps and such, it will slip a little bit here, and then you can get it in alignment. And then when you put the fabric on, the fabric isn't going to cause the movement like it is when you tap on them. So anyway, that's kind of a cool old school thing. That's one of the things I love about old wings like this, is just everything about them is very old school. And then when I say that, I don't even mean it in a bad way, because interestingly, predominantly, if you're doing a fabric aircraft, this is very much the same structure that's still done today. It's very, very proven, and it's changed very little in 50, 60, even 80 years. And so it's old school, but it's really, it's not an unacceptable or outdated kind of method at all. It's a very cool way to build a wing, very light. And obviously though, fabric covered wings almost exclusively require wing struts to not only support the wing, but to keep the wing from twisting. So there is a couple airplanes that have been built over the years that are fabric covered but don't have wing struts. That's a whole other story. Maybe someday we'll talk about that. But anyway, again, very close to these wings being ready to rock with fabric, which I'm really looking forward to that. It makes such a difference in the way things look, and to me, I just love working with the fabric. The ailerons are basically ready, the tail surfaces are ready, so really we're just down to needing to get the fuselage up to speed, and that's again going to be starting tomorrow. So hopefully next video I'll have the fuselage repair done, and then even before Oshkosh here, I should be able to get started on the fabric, which will certainly be a nice situation. And then also over here, I was going to show with the lathe, which my friend Steve over in Illinois gave to me a few months ago, which has been fantastic. I just love the look of this old machine. It's from the 40s, and it's very functional. And of course, it's simple. It's sort of an intermediate size, but that's perfect for this shop and for the kinds of things that I need to try to do. So one of those things was for the fuselage repair. The longerons so I need to do a repair on one of the longerons, and it's 3/4 inch diameter, and it's a 35 thousandths wall. And when you replace a chunk, you need to have a sleeve of tubing that goes on the inside, so it needs to fit fairly snug. And we used to be able to get slip fit tube sizes, but that's not as common anymore. So what I did was I took a piece of 3/4. So it's the same size tube, but it's got a really thick wall on it. I think this was 120 thousandths wall. So that gave me room then to shave off a bunch of the material. And you can see the wall is now thinner. And what that does is, that means I've got a piece now that's a nice, decent slip fit. And so that sleeve that gets put in there, it'll actually only wind up being 5 inches long or so. So it also, you do a rosette weld where you put a hole in the large tube, and then after the sleeve is in there, you can weld that hole, so that puts the two pieces bonded together. And then of course we do an angle cut like I showed in a previous video, and you weld that as well. So there's various points that get welded. But those sleeves, some guys just go ahead and use like a really sloppy fit 5/8 on the inside of this. But I wanted to have a nicer fit than that. So, anyway, I used the lathe to turn this 4130 down, and it worked out great. That was like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago when I did that, when I first got the lathe. But last week, I took a piece of 5/8, and I got a piece of 5/8 with a thick wall, and I shaved it down. I didn't have to shave it down as much, but because this is 9/16, because you can get the 16ths, whereas you can't so easily get the 11/16 now in 4130. So that's why I was using the same diameter tube. But anyway, so this is 9/16, so it's not very much larger, but it was somewhat. And so now I've got a nice slip fit. So again, these will get cut off, I don't know, 4.5 inches or something like that, to use as an inner sleeve for the repair. So, so I'll have a little bit more info on that, hopefully in the video next week, after I do the repair on the fuselage. But and then I'm old school. I never learned electric weld with any skill, so I still use oxygen and acetylene old torch welding, just like this Cub would have been built with in the 40s. And when I did the Super Cub, I did a bunch of welding on it because there were a bunch of STC mods that went on that airplane. And I just really enjoy the old gas welding. There are some disadvantages to it, but there are some advantages. So anyway, and it's what I have available, and it's the skill that I have still. So that's what I'm going to wind up using. So anyway, so that's where we're at this point. I think that's just a decent little update of where we're at. We're getting closer. Things will really start changing when we start putting on the fabric, and then that'll be the Stewart system. This airplane's owned by Andy, who owns Stewart Systems, so definitely going to put Stewart Systems on it, which that's what I put on the Super Cub back in 2017, 2018, and it won a bronze Lindy up at Oshkosh, so that's a pretty big deal, which really surprised me. Not because it wasn't well done, but I just didn't think I could do that good of work, and so it was quite a blessing. So anyway, we'll have a lot of detailed information then also on the whole Stewart system. If you're interested in that process, there's a lot to be learned here then in the upcoming videos. So again, check out some of the old videos if you're interested in this stuff. And if you're going to Oshkosh, well, look for me and let's say hi. So we'll see you next week. Thanks.